What up, y'all? What up, y'all? What up, y'all? It is another episode of Libra's Thoughts Podcast. I am your host, Libra J. Hicks, Coach Libra J. Hicks. And of course, you know, I have special guest Angela M. Mitchell in the building with us. She's here with us all the time, discussing all things ADHD and bipolarism. So, I have decided a long time ago, if some of you all are just now tuning in, that our live episodes would be geared towards physical and mental health, and that's what we have been consistently doing. And we have been especially tackling our mental health situation. I know Angie has a late diagnosis of bipolarism, and I have a late diagnosis of ADHD. So, what I'm
Yes.
going to do is let Angie, introduce herself, and then we're going to talk about the symptoms of ADHD and bipolarism, but I want Angie to come talk to you guys real briefly about her experiences. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to past episodes of Angie and I, but we have decided to talk about our late diagnosis, and I want Angie to share a little bit about her. Hey, boo.
Hey, 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 girl. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, sugar. How you doing, boo?
Listen, I can't complain. I can't complain. I'm just happy to be here.
That part.
I'm
Tell
just
the
happy to
people
be
about
here.
you and your late diagnosis. Tell the people.
Yes. So first of all, I am Angela M. Mitchell, and I am an author, speaker, coach, and digital marketing strategist. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Back to Her. And I am a woman living, thriving, and just flourishing right now with bipolar disorder. That late diagnosis, of course, came when what 2019? Yeah, 2019. When I actually got diagnosed, and finally decided, to go to the doctor after experiencing an extremely long period, an extremely long depressive period. So for those of you who don't know what bipolar disorder is, because people throw that term around so much,
Yes, they do.
they throw it around, but they throw it around negatively. You know what
Right.
I mean? She having mood swings. She's bipolar, bipolar weather, bipolar this, bipolar that, and they put such a negative connotation to it. That people don't really know what this thing is for real, for real. So
Right.
it was formerly known as manic depressive or manic depression, before they came up with the term bipolar disorder. And I remember hearing that, of course, years ago. I never knew what it was, but I do recall hearing about manic depressive disorder, or whatever you want to call it. And yes, it is a shift in your mood and your energy levels and activities, levels and things like that. It's a shift in your judgment, but it's nothing that such a negative connotation should be attached to, I will say. People, yes, you have like extreme highs, extreme lows, and I myself have experienced those things. And up until getting that diagnosis, I really didn't understand why I would go through such long bouts of um really low times, you know what I mean, really low depressive times. And like I said, in 2019 I was coming out, I was, I guess, coming out of a severe depressive period, and I finally decided to go to the doctor when I got this diagnosis. So these past 5 years have just been kind of navigating and learning what this thing is all about, and accepting. First of all, let me say
That part.
accepting, that this is what this is and this is what my life is. Because who wants to be known as the quote unquote so-called crazy person, even though
Right.
that's what I've always been called any
That part.
doggone way. But it was never, I never, like I said, would never have associated the mood swings and the depressive lows and the crazy highs and the mania. I would never have associated that with bipolar disorder. So I just want to just say something about the symptoms, because there are, of course, different levels of bipolar disorder. There's bipolar 1, there's bipolar 2, and there's also what is called cyclothymic disorder, which is like,
Mm,
I don't know, maybe the lowest on, I would say, if they call it a spectrum, if you
right.
will. It's the lowest kind of on the totem pole, with those disorders. So I personally have the bipolar one, which is manic episodes that last for at least 7 days at a time. You know what I mean? And that
Okay.
every day or nearly every day for most of the day. You know what I mean? So the majority of these 7 days, and you're experiencing the mania, the manic highs, the thoughts of feeling like you can do whatever, the extreme energy, the burst of energy where you're up. I wasn't sleeping, I was barely eating, or I was eating too much. It was one of the two. And at that time, it was the eating too much. Um, and I having the belief that I could just do whatever it is I wanted to do no matter what. And so that of course happened, and then the crash comes. And so maybe that last 2 weeks, which back then I didn't know what to do with all that energy. Now I use that energy and I channel it into my creativity. But at that time, and I'm saying, I really think back over years, I'm thinking of the promiscuous activity. I'm thinking of the reckless spending. I'm thinking of like these, all the started projects that were unfinished and things like that. Bipolar 2 is defined as a pattern of depressive and manic episodes. And those are less severe. The hypomania is much less severe than just flat out, have experiencing the mania. And that's what bipolar 2 is about. And then, of course, the cyclothymic disorder, which is not severe enough, and it doesn't last enough to really qualify as a manic or depressive episode, right? So
Interesting.
I'm back dab at the top, baby. I'm God is funny, honey. God is funny. He said, you do all things big, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you this, and I'm gonna give you the top one. The
she God said, since we either go big or go home.
go big or go home. So I'm gonna give you the top one. I'm gonna give you the one.
Give you some shit to really work through.
There you go. Exactly. Where you really got to work some things out. So that really has been what my life has been for these last 5 years since the diagnosis, which has just been me kind of reeling it in and navigating where I can, what I can do with this thing, and how I can live and thrive without flipping out all the doggone time.
That piece. That's the piece. That is the piece right there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the piece. So with ADHD, first let me explain. Let me read. I'm reading from National Institute of Mental Health.
Hmm.
What is ADHD? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a developmental disorder marked by persistent symptoms of inattention and or hyperactivity and impulsivity that interfere with functioning or development. Symptoms
Hmm.
begin in childhood and can affect daily life, including social relationships, school, work, performance. ADHD is well known among children and teens, but many adults also have the disorder. Okay, now for me, I knew when I was a young girl I was different. I was very awkward, socially awkward.
Hmm.
How I view things, I'm very direct. I really struggle with gray areas. I don't know, like words like can't be, no, I'm sorry, wouldn't, shouldn't, possibly, maybe, hopefully, could be. Those words are not safe words for me. I need direct. It's either yes or it's either no. Because if that middle piece happens, I'm gonna assume
Right.
that's um I am impulsive. So prior to knowing what my diagnosis was, I had a very bad shopping problem, and I
Hmm.
drink. I like to drink. And if
Hmm.
I'm not careful, alcoholism can be a definite factor
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
because
ma'am.
I literally live on the dopamine. And I have
Right.
to pay attention to what that was for me because I can easily go from one space to the next with no problem if the dopamine
Right.
is there. And as I got older, right, I'm looking at myself and how I'm behaving in the meltdowns and just really taking a look and saying to myself, all right, so there are some things here that are not typical. I'm not going to say normal because my normal isn't like everybody else's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go through a few symptoms that really let me know, okay, I really need to get myself looked at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with substance abuse, even though on the list that I'm reading from, substance abuse is last. I'm going to say that first because prior to now, drinking was a great pastime for me because it really gave me a euphoria of not having to be present in this space. Whatever is
Right.
going on, that alcohol would take it away. Stress. I'm easily stressed, and I'm easily stressed because I realize that as I'm traveling this world, my way of thinking and functioning doesn't fit in with the majority.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be stressful to have to show up in spaces and have to alter myself so the majority could understand and so I could work my way into the majority so I can network and make, new associates. I'm not going to say friends, but new associates,
Right.
things like that. Sleeping
Right.
problems. I have always struggled with sleeping problems. Falling asleep and staying asleep. There are times where falling asleep is just like, what is this? And and even in me not sleeping, I still have all this energy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Staying asleep. I'm good for going to sleep for like 4 hours and then getting back up and acting like I had an 8 hours 8 hours of sleep
Right.
and dive in.
Right.
And I'm extremely forgetfulness. I'm always losing things. I'm always forgetful about activities. Um, Disorganization, that is a fact, but I have worked really hard to not be as I'm not 100% with it, but I'm damn sure not where I used to be because at one point I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't know if I was going or coming.
Right.
Um, and inattention, difficulty paying attention, I zone out very easily. I if what you're saying, and it's not even the person, it's literally if I can't process those words or if I can't lock in with you and what you're saying, I zone out. I'm somewhere else. I'm there, I'm
Mm-hmm.
present, like my body is there, but my mind has skipped off to some other planet and I'm not even here. So there were things and meltdowns, like I'm prone to meltdowns, and when I feel like before I didn't know what it was to be, overstimulated, sensory overload for myself. Like
Right.
I could tell it for my oldest son because that's his space, but I didn't really know what that meant for me until I'm like, okay, wait a minute. These are not I'm not I'm this I'm being told I'm extra, but there's something here. Like this doesn't feel normal. These meltdowns
Mm-hmm.
feel like something else. And so getting my diagnosis late made me reflect on a lot of things that happened in my past. Like you said, being promiscuous,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very, very, I was very, and still am, but with selective people, but I'm clingy.
Right.
And I'm clingy to people because I realized that it was a trauma response, but I also,
Right.
there's a part of me that desires real connection. So,
Mm-hmm.
I used to being promiscuous allowed me access to be clingy to someone because like if I'm in these spaces with this person, then this is my person for this moment, so I can be extra.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, it's been many things with these symptoms and really understanding what drives them so I can gain more control. So let me ask you this with the food though, because I know that
Mm-hmm.
was eating was definitely a big thing in my world. It was drinking and eating, two big toxic things in my world. When did you like when you got your diagnosis, did you start to look at how you eat? Did you start to look at how you were handling life and saying, okay, now I have this diagnosis. I really need to figure out what this means for me and how do I navigate life with it?
No. Initially I didn't. I'm telling you, honey, I had to have it took me a minute to have a come to Jesus with it, okay? Because
Okay.
I
So
I
you
didn't
didn't
want to
accept it
accept
right off
that.
the bat.
I did not. I didn't I acknowledged it, but I did not accept it. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So yes, I acknowledged the diagnosis. I acknowledged, they gave me medication. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like it. But I did acknowledge it. Accepting it was something else.
Okay.
right? Accepting it was something else. So initially, there was no connecting any dots. I didn't think of, this may be part of that. I didn't think of any of that. It took me quite, at least maybe another year, to be
Oh,
honest, before I even really started to even notice. So yes, I acknowledged it. Then I started taking notice. Then I started to finally accept it. When I finally began to accept the connect between the diagnosis and the excessive food, the excessive drinking, all of those things started. I was able to start to address those things. Um, and with bipolar disorder, of course, there's the manic episode, there's the depressive episode, so there is kind of like the opposite, you know what I mean? Each thing is opposite of each other, right?
right,
So there's on each opposite sides of the spectrum, like you said, drinking too much, having an excessive appetite for food, sex, anything pleasurable. You know what
right,
I mean? So even if whether it was those things, spending money, whatever, something that brought me great because it brought me pleasure, right?
right.
In the moment. And it was kind of um oh goodness, it's crazy because I could literally feel like it. Let me say, when I have like that mania and all of that, I can feel the energy. I can feel, I guess maybe the dopamine. I don't know. I can feel
Yes,
all of that excitement, that energy. And if I was eating something that was good, or if I'm having sex and it was good, and if I'm doing all of those good things, or I'm getting drunk or whatever, I literally could feel the satisfaction. You
yes.
know what I'm saying? I kind of liken it to the Incredible Hulk. I would talk. Let me say that as far as my like explosive episodes, because there would be times like my temper was something else,
Right.
and there would be times where it would be explosive. Like I would feel myself getting angry and just feel that, you know what I mean, getting so freaking angry,
Yeah.
where I would have to tear some shit up. Like
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
And when it's done, I feel myself come down. You know how he wake up in the woods with raggedy
Yes.
clothes on?
That's truly Incredible Hulk.
Yes. Yes.
Truly
And even
Incredible.
if it wasn't me being violent, it was me eating until I was completely just stuffed and satiated and satisfied.
Right.
You see
Right.
what I mean? And then that feeling was gone.
That yes. And food was that for me because
Hmm.
food and alcohol were instant gratifications. It's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I can put this in my mouth right now and feel better.
And
I
feel
don't wait
that
to
that
feel better.
that rush, that rush.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
definitely a rush. Like I would put the food in my mouth and I would just keep eating because every bite was just a pure euphoria. It was
Yes.
unexplainable. And before you know it, when you're coming down, now you're looking at all of the shit you just ate and you're
You laying there surrounded by food
baby,
wrappers and shit
all
in a
kinds of
damn food
shit.
coma.
All kinds of shit. And then you get into the damn, I did that shit. I really
Yes.
just did
Do you
and
know
ate
many
all of
times?
that.
Too. Do you know how many times I done woke up with a nigga like, oh,
Yeah,
did
girl.
I do that? Oh,
Yeah,
come on, man.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
seriously though,
yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Um, and but it would in the moment wouldn't think about who, it was just like whatever because
Right.
it felt good. But when it was done and that high comes down, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
kind of like
What did
Urkel.
I
Did
do?
I do that? Oh, yes, I did. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That's the yeah, that was me with food and alcohol. With
Yes,
sex,
yes.
I was pretty much a nut over who I was with. But even if they were mishandling me, mistreating
Hmm.
me,
Yes.
I would still just be like, come on, let's have
Come
sex
on,
now.
whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and and I mean I laugh, but I look at that like, damn, I was really in the toilet and didn't realize how far in the damn toilet I was.
Right. But you know what? See, for me, no, I was just a hoe. I
But okay, so I'm gonna
but
give you that. I'm gonna give you a high five for that. But at any point, did you just be like, yo, you just doing too much? Like this is
no.
okay.
I didn't think of it then. To be honest, I did not,
Okay.
because I was just doing what I wanted to do. It felt good. I didn't care. I've never been the type to give a damn, and I've been called everything but a child of God at some point.
Right.
But I didn't care.
Okay.
Why would I care? Back then I would think, and even now I don't really give a shit what you think
Right.
about
Right.
me.
Right.
Because to be honest, why should I? Why should your opinion of me really affect me? But I will say this: when I used to be called those names and things like that back then, I let it bounce off my back. But of course, it affected me in that it would make me more withdrawn. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So I didn't like to come in different social situations, or because I didn't want to be looked at as such, when all I'm thinking is, shit, I'm just out here to have fun, just like you are.
Right.
But I never really I never put those no those things together. And it was the alcohol, it was all of that. So when you think about it, okay, I didn't went out and got, I'm drinking, I'm doing whatever. And then, whatever comes with, because it's reckless abandon, it's just throwing it to the wind, it's just doing whatever.
Right.
Because
Right.
it felt good in that moment.
Right.
And so now I look back like, girl, you was tripping.
Right.
When I
Right.
look back, baby, and some of the stuff I used to do. Now, let's not get me, I mean, don't get it twisted. I wasn't just, ridiculous with it, but yeah,
Right.
got a couple bodies, man, and it is what it is.
But did you ever have just like a self not necessarily like judgment from others, but just your own self judgment? Like, did you ever sit back, like even if it was briefly, and just be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, bitch, you doing too much."
No,
Okay, you never. Okay, I
no,
did. I would
not
have those
then. Not
moments.
then. I didn't. I honestly did not. It took
Okay,
me a while to get there. It really did. It took me a long while to really be like, but by that time I was done. But you
I
know what? Let me take that back. Maybe after, maybe a couple of times when I done woke up like, oh my God. Oh, child. Who this? What your name is? Oh, girl, you doing too much.
okay, okay, okay,
So
okay,
maybe, yeah, let me think of it that way. Let me put it that
okay,
way.
okay.
And it wasn't like it was a bunch of those, but then there's been a time or two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Uh-huh.
I get you. Okay, okay. I get you. For me, my moments would hit after food and alcohol. Because
Mm-hmm.
with alcohol, I would really crank it up a notch. Like, oh, if it feels this good here, if I drink this, how much higher can I go? Like, how
Right.
much further can I tap out of this world?
Right.
And then afterwards, I would be hugging the porcelain god, and
Of course.
like, damn, I'm really doing this shit. Like, I'm really doing this. And then have a whole guilt thing and then roll right back into, well, we got to get fucked up again. And then I would
Right.
eat. Like, so
Right.
I mean, I was having the sex, but food and alcohol were in the front because those were right now. Like, sex was like hit or miss. It may be a
Mm-hmm.
dude there, it may not be somebody there. But
Right.
if there
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what
That
I
part. Yeah.
will, what is consistent, what I can get to all the time to feel good is this food. And it's because I can find food anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to work
Mm-hmm.
hard to get no food. So
Right.
it was, food. And I would like let me tell you the stuff that I used to do real spit. I would go to Cinnabon and I would get me a cinnamon bun. I would
Mm-hmm.
leave Cinnabon. I would go to Church's Chicken. I would get fried chicken, a 3-piece and a biscuit. Leave there because I got to get fries from McDonald's to go with it.
You
So I'm
know
gonna
what?
get fries from McDonald's, and then I like the peach tea from Zaxby's, honey. I'm gonna go there, and then I'm gonna go at the end as if I already didn't have a Cinnabon. I'm gonna go at the end and get me a half a dozen donuts. That's what
Oh
my
my.
like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my shit was looking like. And I would, and the greed in that is I could be in the church's line. I'm not leaving churches till I eat that. Even though I want the fries, I'm gonna eat
Right.
this first.
Right.
Then I'm gonna go because I don't want to show up in here's the shit in my brain. I don't want to show up in the drive-through with another fast food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna eat
You
this
and
first, put it in the trash. Then I'm gonna
right.
go over here to McDonald's. I'm gonna get these fries, eat that, put that in the trash. Then I'm gonna go. It was so much
Mm.
because I'm
Yeah.
trying to make it
Oh
look
my
like to
goodness.
others that I'm
Right.
not gaining weight from my own demise. I'm gaining weight because
Right.
there's something wrong. But really,
Right.
no, it is to my own demise. Like I'm doing it to myself. I just
Yeah,
don't want
because
to.
I'm drive through hopping. That's
That's it. And I don't need nobody. And I'm laughing, but I'm laughing because it's like when I look at myself now, I can't believe that I was that low to the ground.
right. Right.
It was like, damn, you really was in the pit of hell. Like there's nothing worse than eating yourself to a glutton, doing it, like willingly
Hmm.
doing it. And then at the end, it's like, damn, I felt good for like what the 20 or 30 minutes I was locked
Hmm.
into this shit, but now I
Hmm.
feel stupid again. I feel
Hmm.
stupid, worthless. I feel like nothing.
Yeah.
And in order for me to feel like something, I got to repeat this process consistently.
Right. Right. Got it. And see, and that's what it is. It's the thoughts and the feelings that we really give into.
Yeah.
And that we're trying, like for me, the racing thought, trying to quiet those thoughts, is where the alcohol would come in, trying to quiet, and then take, feelings of abandonment, take feelings of not feeling like I'm enough, and all of those things coupled with the bipolar disorder, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that made, of course, the depression even worse. Take being in domestic violence situations, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
all of that stuff, just it all made it even worse. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And when I really sit back and think
Yeah.
back, of course, now it's like, man, how in the world did I even make it through how did I make it through all of that? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Yeah.
When I sit back and think of all of that, and
No, it is.
it is, it really is. You think back like, dang, I was going through all of that. You know what I mean? And how
Yeah.
much, like I said, how much better could life have been if I would have been diagnosed earlier? You know what I mean?
Girl.
How much
You
better
know what?
emotionally, you
I
know?
think about that and I really wonder, would it have made a difference? Would I be able to help the people that I help today had I not done that?
Probably not though. Probably not. And see, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it though. Because but for those struggles, we wouldn't be sitting here
That
with
fact.
the platform and with the experience to be able, to touch another sister, another person who's struggling and scared to say so, or don't even know that they in it, don't even know what it is.
Yeah. That's fact. That's
You
fact.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. That's fact. Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this in closing. If you could rewind
Hmm.
time, what's one thing that you wish you could change? Just one thing. It could be big, little, simple, not so simple, just whatever.
I would just wish, one thing I would change is the way I treated myself. I would love myself a little bit more. You know what I mean? And I say that because had I loved myself a little bit more, I would never have fallen for all of the nonsense that comes along with looking for love in all the wrong places.
Ooh, that part.
You see what I'm saying?
That part.
Yeah, because we make our own beds. It's just a
We
matter of accepting the fact that we make our own beds.
That's the piece. That's the piece.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
piece. If I could go back, let's see. I think I would definitely appreciate an earlier diagnosis. Maybe not while I was attached to the public school system, but
Right.
maybe after it was understood that I would be homeschooled, we just went ahead and got me diagnosis. And I think that had I had an earlier diagnosis, I don't think I would have struggled as much. I do think there would have been some struggle there,
Oh
just
yeah.
because my foundation, they're very, we don't do therapy. You're not gonna put nobody in our
Hmm.
business. We work it out, whatever, whatever.
Right,
So
right.
I do think there would have been a level of struggle there that I just wouldn't have been able to avoid. But I think I would have been able to, once I reached a certain age, navigate a little bit better. Um,
Hmm.
so I just didn't have so because I when you're socially awkward and you're looking for cues, you don't realize how much people lie. You don't realize
Mm-hmm.
how much people withhold information. And when you're legitimately trying to ask questions for the to gain knowledge and information, and you're looked at crazy for doing that, it's hard to be in spaces. So yeah,
Right.
if I could go back and change just that, I would. But other than that, everything else, I would do it again. Chin up, chest out. I would, because it's allowed me to become what is necessary to be the mother that I am and the
Mm-hmm.
leader that I am.
Yes, ma'am.
That
Yes,
part.
ma'am.
Oh, this was awesome. So y'all,
Absolutely.
y'all listen, subscribe, share, put the notifications on, so when the show pops up, you are in the now. But we will pick back up next week with more ADHD and bipolar talk.